So as the Ingham family debts rumbles on, Sarah Ingham cannot contain herself with replying to various hate comments on her Facebook. We're going to go through a few today because it's very interesting exactly Sarah's stance on this. She's determining that there is no issue surrounding debts. The debt register, CCJ register, tells us otherwise, but she's determined that that is false, and we shouldn't be looking through her credit report, which we haven't done. So there is this one comment here which caught my attention from Geraldine. Said, love watching your family, and this story quite interesting. You do not have to explain yourself, but a little unbelievable that £1,000 turns into 10,000. That's an extreme amount of interest. People love you and are interested in your life, but please do not respond to people like this. Be honest. We love it more. Absolutely, Geraldine. As long as they were honest about things, that would be, that's all that anybody could ask for, isn't it? Honesty. However, Chris and Sarah Ingham and honesty do not go hand in hand. So, this is what we have. £1,000 turned into £10,000, and it ended up being £1,200 that Sarah owed. Go figure. I'm not quite sure how she managed to owe more than she borrowed in the first place, but there you go, isn't it? Especially if she was in fact paying it off every month. Anyway, Sarah had to respond to this because why not? I was paying minimum payment for years. With the high interest rates, it meant I was barely even paying off the balance each month. It's not unbelievable at all. Don't try and insult me with your poor attempt at kindness. This is quite a nasty comment, this, from Sarah, if I'm being honest with you, because there was nothing nasty about the original comment, but she's turned this into a nasty game, hasn't she? Don't try and insult me with your poor attempt at kindness. Who do you think you are, coming on my post and telling me to be honest? I have nothing to lie for. You must think I'm stupid. Off you pop, back from where you came. So Sarah's been very nasty there. Now I want to try and clarify something, because I've been trying to work out how this £1,000 became 10,000, to which became 1,200 that she eventually owed, which went to CCJ. I don't know. She's suggesting there that she's paid off £8,200 ish, right, on her credit card, when she only borrowed 1,000 in the first place. I'm not convinced that would be true, so I've done a bit of calculating, and it could be wrong, right? I'm working out on the basis that her credit card was probably something like Capital One, right? It probably actually wasn't, if it was her first ever credit that she got back when she was 21. Somehow they give out, the banks give out credit cards and things like that to kids when they haven't got credit. Yeah, go figure. So, but I thought worst case scenario, Capital One, highest credit, highest interest rate on the market, and it was around back then, back in those days as well. So the current rate of interest for Capital One is 34.9%, right? And she took out a £1,000 loan, credit, right, on her card. She was also paying off the minimum. This is off the Capital One's own website, by the way. They're paying off the minimum amount, and here's what the calculations told me. If you made the minimum payment each month on a £1,000 credit, you would pay off your card in 3 years and 10 months. The interest, total interest, would be £812, not the £9,000 which she claimed, and that would be it all done and dusted if you paid off the minimum each month. Now, how much was the minimum payment each month on a £1,000 credit? It says the monthly repayment would be £40. That includes interest and whatever, right? Full amount, £40. That's how much you pay each month, and that is paying off the interest as well. So, what are we to believe in this scenario? So, if she's paying off £40 a month, which would be the minimum amount, then it would take her 3 years and 10 months to pay the full amount off. She didn't pay the full amount off, but she in fact managed to accrue an extra £200. How did she manage to get £200 added on to the 1,000 which she owed? Right? Because if you're paying off the £40 a month, then any interest charge will come off that amount. Yeah, that the interest isn't more than the amount that you're paying. Does anybody else get this? I mean, I'm not the biggest on interest rates and credit cards and paying money back and how it all works, right? But if you were paying off the minimum amount, that is impossible for you to owe more than you've borrowed. It is impossible, right? Let alone paying an extra £9,000, right, as she's suggesting. So what has actually happened here? So here's what I propose has happened in this situation, if it is indeed true, but that's up for debate at the moment. So she's borrowed £1,000. She's paying off a minimum amount each month, but as she's paying it off, she's also then going and spending the money which she's paid off, right? So she's not actually paying anything off. She's paying it, the minimum amount, to keep them off her back, and then she's spending it again. So therefore, she's only paying off a very minimal amount, like 10 quid or whatever it is, I don't know. So it would take her longer. But how has it got to the stage where it's more? It's £200 odd more, right? And she's claiming it was £9,000 more, which again I find very unbelievable. The only way it would possibly be any more than she has borrowed is if she's missed payments, which, to be fair, is probably about right. If she's missed payments, the missed payment charge is around about £12, and then you get interest on that £12 as well. So it probably accrued, and she probably owed money. She couldn't pay it back. She couldn't pay the minimum payment back because it was too much, and she got herself into a world of debt. And that's nothing to be ashamed of, actually. You know, right? I mean, some people are good with money, some people are not good with money. She's obviously never been good with money, and as she said, she was young and she was given a credit card of £1,000. Don't know why they gave her a credit card for £1,000 when she was only 21 and only had a part-time job, didn't she, or something? She worked in a pub. Anyway, so that's probably something along the lines. If it happened, who knows, right? But for her to have owed at any point, and I don't think she means, right? I actually don't think she means that it went from £1,000 all the way up to £10,000. I don't think she owed at any point £10,000. It would, in order for it to get to that stage, would be nigh on impossible, because at some point the credit card company would have stopped it and sent it off to a debt collectors for non-payment of debt, right? But I think what she means is over the course of the time she had her card, she's paid about £10,000, which again I still don't believe that's true, because I don't think that she could have built up 10 grand in charges or fees and interest. Just don't think, because you're talking about years of having that card, and years of spending it recklessly, years, because it's only what would I say, £40 a month. That's in interest, it's around about £19. I think it's £10. No, it's 1%, I read. So it's like £10 is the interest. So £10 a month interest to get up to 10 grand. That's 100 months. So whatever's happened, there's one or two, if not many, many lies in there. She's told a story and she's expected people just to take it at face value, which admittedly a lot of her IFAM have done, because why not? They don't know a lot about a lot of things. A lot of people in her comments were saying, oh, surely that's illegal, isn't it? It must be illegal, send them to jail. But no, it's not illegal because it's public records. So the Walker family of 11, is that the ones that are friends with the Radfords? I think, maybe. Why are people so obsessed with your credit report? They're not. It wasn't taken from the credit report. This is the misinformation again from Sarah, because it was not taken from the credit report, as she well knows, or she should know anyway. Maybe Chris knows at least anyway. It was taken from the public register of CCJs, which is public, right, for a small fee. What a sad existence they must have if this is what they do in their spare time. Sarah replies, crazy, isn't it? Oh yeah, it's so crazy. I can't contain myself right now. It's unbelievably crazy. Those crazy foos now, aren't they? And the next one from Barbara says, I'm not sure what normal person would do this. I'd say this person must have way too much time on his or her hands. Maybe get a job, volunteer at a women's shelter, animal shelter, or maybe go to church. Oh, some very good suggestions there from Barbara. Obviously, you're kind of preaching to the wrong people, because the Inghams would never themselves lift a finger to help anybody else. But yeah, but all the fans, they must go to church or to work at a women's shelter. This kind of behaviour is not healthy for anyone. You know what else is not healthy for anyone? Sexually grooming 16-year-olds for your own pleasure. That's not healthy behaviour, is it, Chris? The Inghams replied, exactly this. Too busy trying to find fault with us to actually do something decent with their lives. Wow. Oh my God, wow. So Sarah thinks that she is doing something decent with her life. She would never dream of volunteering anywhere. I know they did that one thing at Christmas, but that was just that one thing, right? Don't get me wrong. They that was a nice thing for them to do, but they did not do it for their own, for anybody else's benefit except for their own, obviously. And this person said, very well put comment, said, I didn't think it was you. I thought it was Chris. Regardless, it's a drop in the ocean for you. You can pay it off in a heartbeat. Oh, of course they can. They earn 10k a day, 3.6 million a year, don't you know? It's incredible. Sarah replied to this one and said, doesn't matter who they're saying it about, neither of us have outstanding debts. Well, that's it's quite an error then from the CCJ people, isn't it? 8 CCJs have been marked against you in error. I'd sort that out if I were you. Pretty bad. And this person replied, and even if you did have debts, it's none of their business. You know what, though? That's completely wrong. And it really frustrates me when people say things which they have absolutely no idea about. They're just listening to Sarah talk, right? Sarah is not known for the truth at all. And even if she is telling the truth, her version of it is not necessarily right, because she doesn't know an awful lot about an awful lot. So this next comment hits the nail on every head perfectly, and it explains why this is public knowledge and why it's important knowledge for the public to know. So this person replied, I agree, it's a concern because Chris claims he is an entrepreneur who can help people make millions. That's worrying. So that is the point, right? Chris is telling people that he is this millionaire, well off, he has multiple successful businesses, and he can tell and teach people how to make money. And he's charging people in order to spread his knowledge on how to make money. However, behind the scenes, he's not this incredible entrepreneur. He's not this wealthy businessman. He's not this successful businessman. He's not the person he's portraying himself as or claiming to be in order to make other people rich, because he's none of those things, and yet he's selling people on the basis that he is those things. So he needs to be ultra transparent about why and what and where and everything else. He needs to be so transparent about his own finances before he tries to teach people how to increase their finances. And that's the important thing, and people don't see that and people don't understand it. So we have another one. This one says, have you seriously had to explain a scenario that first occurred 19 years ago? Some people have no sense of privacy and feel so entitled to something that is none of their business. And that again is another, it's such an ignorant comment that it hurts my brain. It hurts my brain. It actually does, right? So this comment, first of all, the CCJ wasn't 19 years ago. It was just 3 years ago. But also the sense of privacy. They don't have any privacy for their kids. They've never ever afforded their kids privacy. So what the hell are you talking about? Anyway, Susan replied again, think it's because the dates were last year and the year before, not 2022. That's all. And that's all that needs to be said, because it's not 19 years ago. Sarah is portraying it to be 19 years when it's not 19 years. It is 3 years ago. And that is when she owed the money, right? Although she's going to rebuff that. No, they weren't, Susan. I've only ever had one CCJ, and it was from a credit card taken out in 2006 that caught up with me and was paid off in full in 2022. I have zero debts on my credit report, so please stop acting like you know the ins and outs of my life. It's embarrassing. The thing is, Sarah, if it was paid off in full in 2022, right, it wouldn't appear on your credit report as unsatisfied. It would say satisfied, because, it just would, right? Because you owe the money, it says unsatisfied. That is all. Susan replied, I understand that, but you are saying the records are false. That shows 7 CCJs for Chris over the last 2 years. That is what has been questioned. This is what that video was about, not yours. Exactly. It was about the ones for Chris, the 5 CCJs for Chris, and 2 for the Ingham family limited, not Sarah's. Sarah's just talking about hers being false. What about all the other ones? What about those ones? Sarah replies, how about it's none of your business? Chris has 0 CCJs that are outstanding. None. Not even one. And all of his were for very small amounts of money for silly things like overstaying parking fines that we weren't in the country to receive notice about. Overstaying, silly things like that. We weren't supposed to pay those because they didn't apply to us, did they? Overstaying parking fines, indeed. You must have known you overstayed car parks, so you can't say that we weren't in the country to receive notice about these parking fines, right? You must have known that you parked in a place and overstayed, so it can't have been a complete shock to you. Okay, now. Plus, also, you get people staying at your house, right? Whilst you're away. How about getting them to open your mail whilst they're there, you know? But again, it's none of your flipping business. So weird how invested you are. Pass me your details, please, so I can do a little check on your history. Wonder how willing you'd be to share yours. Hilarious how you're even here arguing how it's totally fine and normal, expecting some sort of explanation. It's not abnormal though. It's not as abnormal as you seem to think. You're a company who are offering financial services. Yeah, isn't that right, Chris? Offering financial advice, isn't it? And I would expect my financial advisor to have a clean bill of health with the CCJs. I've never seen anybody with even one. I know it's people do get them, but I don't personally know anybody that's ever had one. And yet, you between the two of you have had 8 in the past 3 years. It is funny though. Susan replied, I am not arguing, but for anyone who uses Chris as a mentor or invests in his online business, this is a red flag. End of. Absolutely spot on, Susan. It is a red flag, and people who are investing in him should be made aware of that, shouldn't they? Exactly that. Sarah replies, give over. And then also, our daily life clearly shows we're not in any sort of debt. Does it really? You spend very frivolous. No, that's the opposite of what you spend. You spend very sparingly, right? When you go out for a meal, you share a drink between the 8 of you. Yesterday you had, Jace dunking his food into a pot of sand to eat. It just, things like that kind of don't strike me as being very well off, just there's so many little things that happen that you think, why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they paying for this when they have the money to pay for it? I know that if you have money, you don't necessarily have to spend it wildly, right? Because that's the best way to lose all your money. But you do things like you don't buy your kids food when they're out, and you make them wait all day for food, and you don't buy, like Isla the other day, she went to that beach place, and you didn't buy her lunch because Isla's supposed to be buying her own lunch, where she's 13, and then you've got Chris doing his I don't know what he's doing, some sort of toy Monopoly game on his computer, isn't he? And acting like he owns stocks and shares and shit, like crypto. He's gonna lose all your money. I'm sorry, he's gonna lose your money. He told us that he spent two or 3 grand, or was it more, on that crypto thing a few months ago, right? Do you know if he made or lost money, Sarah? Did you actually ask him if he made money or lost the money? So I'm going to tell you right now. He bought it for £2 apparently, right? And right this very minute, that crypto is worth £1.72, which, by the way, I know you're not best at maths, but 28 pence is lost per one that he invested. He invested 2,000 or 3,000, I think, something like that. Say 3,000. 3,000 times by 28 pence is, all right, £840 he lost. Unless he cashed it out sooner, but I don't see why he would have done. It's not been over £2 for months. In fact, he told his subs to buy it when it was at £2.50. All his subs have lost 80 pence at least on his advice, or the ones that bought out of it anyway. 80 pence per crypto. That's pretty bad, you know. I mean, you might not think that £840 was a lot of money to lose, but trust me, if he's doing that on every single crypto that he buys, you're soon going to be skint. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Anyway, yes, that is Sarah, who is still in the dark, or still oblivious to the fact that they have money worries, and is just not willing to accept it, is she? No. So let me know what you think in the comments down below about all of this. Until next time, give this video a massive thumbs up, comment all your thoughts about it down below, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.